Okay, this is just a random video, nothing really big planned. I just know that I wanted to talk about my son, Joby. So I don't know if I'm going to tell a birth story or just how our lives went and how exceptional he is. But let's start off with some photos. Now, I picked a bunch of photos. I don't know how I'm going to do them, but I just wanted to share them with you. So I was due December 17th. And after 2 weeks, on the 30th, they're like, yeah, we should induce you. So they induced me, slow. They sent me home. And then I came back, and by the time we waited, the whole thing, before I started pushing, was 48 hours. And the Pitocin they gave me, obviously you hear about Pitocin being extra painful because it really contracts in there. And they gave me epidural, okay? It was great. I was like, it was still hurt like hell. It still did. But they gave me the epidural, and then after a while, I'm like, man, I should not be feeling these that strongly. So I kept telling them, I'm like, I'm feeling it so much. And so they would come in, and they would just give an extra dose every time that I asked for it. And then the last time my whole body started puffing up, and I started getting like red dots on my face and everything. And they were like, oh, we've been giving you too much epidural because it's not dripping. It was in my back, it was not dripping, and I was having humongous pain. So they had, in the middle of a contraction, took out that epidural, put a new one in. It was terrible. So then, and that's not the worst part. So then we get to the point where I need to start pushing. And I push for 3.5 hours. And I'm a strong woman. I know that I can give birth. I know I can. But he was stuck. His head was literally stuck. And I kept telling that. I'm like, I can feel him stuck. He's not budging. If I push, he just goes in and out, but it's not, I don't know. Anyways, I told them I need a C-section because he's stuck. Oh, we're going to do the clamps and the vacuum. I said, no, you're not. No, you're going to give me a C-section. And after a few doctors came in to look at it, they were like, she needs a C-section. And I'm like, here I am, my legs busting open because I don't want to hurt his pretty little head. So finally they gave me morphine. The last thing I remember was, morphine, good. It relaxed every part of my body, but I was also awake enough to give birth. So during the time that the surgery had started, I could see the lady, right behind my head, the nurse, and she was giving me morphine as much as I needed, as we went along. And I didn't want to focus on what they were doing down there, but I did feel the pressure of, I felt someone on the inside of my legs and someone up here going like this to try to get him out. They had to wedge him out of my cervix or whatever, hips, whatever. And they finally got him out, and it was at that point. Now, during that first part, when I first got there, all I kept doing was, these are a few of my favorite things. Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens. And then when I start to peak, she would give me more morphine and stuff. But after he was out, that was when I completely passed out. I don't remember. I think, actually, this picture is, I believe, me holding him for the first time after I had given birth. And they took that picture, and that was the only time I saw him for the next 12 hours of his life. And if you look at my face, you'll see that I really broke out, and the IV had like blood coming out of it. I was allergic to the epidural. But that's my son and me, our first meeting. So, yeah. But before that, though, I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to make this one of those easy births. So, I'm like goofing around. Like, oh, look, I have his bunny. Ha, 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 ha. Yeah, didn't know what I was in for. And here I am. Yeah, everything's going great, guys. Yay. It was not okay. So, post-birth, let's talk about that for a second. Post-birth, they roll me out into the recovery room, right? and they did blood work and stuff. Well, actually, right out of the surgery room, they were pushing on my stomach, which they were supposed to do to get the extra stuff out. But I had been guarding that for 9 months, and I would dig into her hands. She's like, I'm just doing my job. I said, I know, I can't help it. It's that reaction. I just can't. So, so then as I'm sitting there, that happened, and then they rolled me into recovery, and I was just like, it's over. Oh my gosh, my friends are here. Yay, yay. And then all of a sudden they said, we need to get you out of here. And I'm like, oh God, what happened now? So then they tell me that I had, I knew during my pregnancy that I had preeclampsia, which is like a blood pressure kind of thing, but it can also put you in a coma if it's not taken care of properly. And so I was on bed rest for the most of the, I was sick all of the time. I was on bed rest. It was awful. I had to quit my job, or I was on medical leave, and I don't know, that's a whole nother drama story. Anyway, so they took me into this other room, and they're like, yes, now you have eclampsia. The pre was before the birth, and then now you are in danger. And they gave me, they're supposed to give me magnesium for 24 hours, but they gave it to me for the first 12 hours, and I couldn't see my son. I saw him just that one time, and remember, I was on morphine. So I saw him that one time, and then during the 12 hours, my husband at the time, God bless him, was there every single step with me. He would just leave to go feed the baby, and he had to cup feed, and I was really looking forward to trying to get that colostrum from your breast to give to him to make him healthy. And I couldn't give that to him because of all the magnesium that was in my bloodstream. So I was devastated. A new mother not being able to see her son for 12 hours after his birth. And not to mention that, but the whole 48 hours plus the 3.5 hours of pushing, my hair was in a big knotted mess back here. And it was so bad, I couldn't comb and I couldn't do anything because my shoulders were ripped up. And I think they're still pretty bad from that, because every time I had one, I was going like this, trying to take the pressure off of what was going down here. So they were really ripped up. I couldn't lift my arms, and so between that, my hair, and just feeling yucky, get off, cat, get down, just feeling yucky and stuff. After the 12 hours were over and I got to see him, of course, he was beautiful. He was so beautiful. Let me find one of him being beautiful. Oh, come on. You mean to tell me? Well, this is him. We always had a good time together. Yeah. And this is, yeah. So he's really cute though. But yeah, I didn't really plan these out or anything. But yeah, and he can. All of these pictures looks like he's really grumpy, because that's just, he's very analytical. So he's like this all the time. Not that he's mad or anything, he's just trying to figure stuff out. Anyway, so when they brought him to me, I had stitches underneath my tummy, and I had some ripping or whatever down by my hoo-ha from pushing, and then my shoulders were all screwed up. I couldn't pick him up. I cried so hard because I could not pick up my son. I couldn't take a shower. I couldn't do anything because I was literally in pain from head to toe. And what else? So I had to hold him in between my legs with his head in the pocket of my feet. And we just were like that. And I had to stay there for a week because it was really, really a horrible time. And then Noy, or my ex-husband, took the day, pretty much, he tried to come in from work and stuff like that to be with me. Oh, I'm going to continue this in just a minute.